From a career perspective, women also often talk about adversity being the greatest driver of experience and insights and perspectives that propel them forward. What was the hardest leadership lesson you had to learn?
Before I get to the leadership lesson, when you said that, I just, it triggered something in me, and I just said, nobody in life likes to feel excluded. Nobody. And I think that should drive, a lot of people who are excluded. And I think it drives a lot of women because you spend far too much of your career feeling like your voice isn't heard until there's that critical mass to where you feel included. So I think that drives a lot of people. Greatest leadership moment. Again, they happen every day, but I did have something this past year that helped me see leadership in an entirely different way. We did something here at the firm called the Trevor Project. We participated in that and produced a video. And it was directed at gay teens and to address the issue of suicide. And I participated in it as a gay woman, not being out in the firm, had never been out, had lived behind a wall for 30 years. Totally authentic in every aspect of my leadership except that. Always lived behind that wall. And when we produced that video and when that came out, what the greatest leadership lesson I've ever learned is that you're never totally authentic until you're totally authentic. I walked in your shoes. I'm gay. And I've struggled with that for many years. We all struggle differently, but we all struggle. For me, not because others made me struggle, but because I'm not really comfortable with it. I may never be, but that's my deal. That's not your deal. What that unlocked in this organization and in myself, I could never have imagined. And the button it touched in people, gay or straight, was that difference matters. And the outpouring of feedback we got from that video was about people saying, I have some self-doubts, I'm a little uncertain every day, and what you helped me see is that my difference is valuable.
Well, what was that like for you to again, having kept something for 30 years,
yeah.
What was that experience like to make yourself so vulnerable, but to also see the change that could empower in probably unforeseen ways?
I will tell you that the night before that video was going to be released, I was scared to death. But I never wavered in that I knew it was the right thing to do, but I was scared to death. I just didn't know what the next day was going to bring, and I was overwhelmed with how positive it was. None of the negative that I feared. None, absolutely zero. I'm sure there was negativity, never got to me, but the positive impact, that ability to make a difference. I had spent 30 years driven by making a difference. And in one moment, I felt like I had made more difference than I'd made in 30 years. And it was the greatest feeling in the world.
What motivated you to do the video? What motivated you to open that side of yourself that for 30 years you hadn't necessarily brought into your professional life?
Kids. It was the reason we were doing it. It was knowing that some kid was sitting at home thinking about killing himself. And there was never, when they asked me to do it, how could you say no? And then they wrote the script. The team, they always write your script. The part about myself wasn't in it. And I read it. I was on a plane. And I love being on a plane when you can think. And I read the script. And it didn't have anything in there. I said, that's not authentic. How can I talk to these kids and not be authentic? So I sat there on the plane and I rewrote it. And I said, this is what I'm going to say. And it felt a lot better.
If you could write a letter to yourself of 20 years ago, flashback, hit the rewind button and look at yourself, what advice would you have given yourself at that moment in your career and in your life?
I would have given myself the same advice my dad gave me often, which was, girl, you've been given gifts, use them. And what he meant was, go from success to significance. Success is fine, success is fleeting, significance is lasting. And I'm very motivated by that. 20 years ago, I wish I'd been as motivated and had understood that as well.
If someone were to talk about you and talk about your career either now or a few years from now, what would you want them to say about you?
What I would want them to say is she never quit trying to make a difference. I would hope that's what they would say.